I've been marketing for 13 years. I built and sold 9 companies. I sold my last company for $46.2 million to American Pacific Group. I've also written 2 books on marketing that have sold over 1 million copies. Here's 13 years of marketing advice that will make you more money. Piece of advice number 1, start with low prices or even gasp free. The reason that I say that is because if you start there, then you can go up. It's very difficult to come down. And in the beginning, you want to get flow through the system. And so it's totally fine to start it free and then start bumping up from there. And so I'll give you 3 quick examples and then I'll show you how to do this tactically. So when I started my first ever business, it was an online personal training business. This is 13 plus years ago. And when I started, I didn't know anything and I was so afraid to charge people money to begin with. And so, but I did want them to pay something because I wanted them to be invested because otherwise people don't follow through with their workouts or their nutrition plans, etc. And so I said, hey, just donate to the charity of your choice, whatever charity you want to. In exchange, I will then train you for 12 weeks. And so people would donate, I think it was $500 or $1,000, it was their choice, to a charity of their selection. And by doing that, I actually got my first 13 or so customers just by making posts and DMing people that I knew. And it didn't feel weird because I was like, hey, I'm doing this kind of nonprofit thing. I want to help you out if you want to lose weight and you can feel good about it and it's a write-off. And so we were like, oh, this is pretty cool. But the thing is like, that was the first time I ever did it. And then from there, I said, would you guys be willing to pay me now after we finish this 12 weeks? And a lot of them were like, sure. I was like, yeah, I'm the charity now. And so after I did a good job, they were willing to do that and refer me customers. The next business that I did this with was Gym Launch, when I actually started flying out to other gyms. So I used to do turnarounds and I did that for 2+ years. So I'd fly out to a gym, set up all the pricing, do the marketing, all that stuff. And I did it all for free. And I did it that way because I didn't know how I could sell those gym owners. And the deal that I made was, I only make money if I make sales and I'll front the cash for the marketing. So like they took 0 risk on and I would do everything, including pay for my hotel, my flights, my food, my rental car, everything. But being able to do that, it allowed me to get way more yeses quickly, test out the system in 30+ markets that I had, which then eventually led me to licensing that system to 5,000+ locations. And that was the company that I sold to APG. The third time that I did this was when I started my software company, Alan. And so when I started the company, I was like, I need to get some case studies. I need some testimonials. I need some stories to show successes, right? And so I think a lot of people in the beginning think this is only a beginner thing. But even if you're a big business owner, when you start out a new product or a new division, starting with free customers just makes a lot of sense. And it's for 4 reasons. One is that free customers become customers who become paying after the period as long as you do a good job. So it makes money in one way. The second way it makes you money is that they'll also refer you customers because you do a great job, they'll just send you other people and that can be contingent on why you do it for free for them. The third is that they'll leave you testimonials and reviews. So those reviews and those testimonials also you advertise and you can get more customers from them. And then finally, whenever you do stuff for free, I do it in exchange for feedback. I say, hey, tell me what I could do to make this better. And again, it's not saying like, tell me all the ways I suck. It's just saying, tell me how I can make this better. Tell me how I could make it worth it for you to want to stay and continue to pay. And ideally, the easy test of knowing whether or not this works is that they actually stay and pay afterwards. And so it's the easiest way to get going on any new product. And I think so many people start trying to sell stuff too soon without enough proof. And in the beginning, you suck. That's why it's a new product or a new division. And so I'd rather not ruin my reputation, say I'm giving it away for free, give the reason is that I'm brand new at this thing or I'm trying this new thing out. And that way I'll get a little bit of grace. And then that way I can make the thing better in an iterative process much faster with way more people because I'm giving away for free or at cost. And then once I get those massive success stories that they feel like they owe me because I've done a great job, then I can market those and go at full price. And I think the bottom line here is that when you start out, you're not that good. And even if your ego is like kind of convincing you that you are good, which I think is silly, just even imagine 2 years from now that you're gonna be much better than you are now. Well, that guy is probably way more experienced. So give that guy a running start by starting free now and then building momentum into it. And I have this saying that I repeat all the time in my team, which is create flow, monetize flow, then add friction. The second is the framework that I use for scaling advertising or scaling marketing in any niche. More, better, new. When you're starting out, more is almost always the answer. And so I remember when I was thinking about getting into content, I paid someone who had made a lot more content, had a much bigger brand, and I said, hey, what should I be doing? What should I do to make my content better? And he's like, dude, you don't need to make your content better. He's like, you're just not making anything. And so what he did was he pulled up his profile on LinkedIn and he pulled up my profile on LinkedIn. And he was like, I posted 5 times a day. You haven't even posted. And then he pulled up Instagram and he pulled up my Instagram and he's like, I posted 2 times a day. You posted once a week. I was like, man. He's like, okay, let's pull up YouTube, and then my YouTube. And he just went platform by platform, and he showed that he was doing 3x, 5x, 10x the volume that I was. And he was like, dude, you just got to do more. And that was this like I felt embarrassed because I just paid all this money to have someone just look at me and just say, do more. But hopefully I can save you the money and just tell you, you probably need to do more. Like you just need to do a lot in order to figure out what works so that you can do better later. So recently we started making more content on YouTube. And we already noticed as a team, we were like, oh, this is awesome. We're learning so much faster again with, like, we're literally putting out 4 or 5 videos a week instead of 1 video a week. And so we're learning about headlines and thumbnails, and there's less pressure per video because we're like, cool, learn that, let's move on to the next one. And so it allows you to just iterate so much faster without getting your ego and your emotions, tied into it. Now, once you've done as much as you can, more, and you've done it as well as you can, better, when you can't do any more, any better, you start and trying something new. And the reason that I have new last is because the cost of change of doing something new is guaranteed, but the return on something new is not. And so I like to say that as a big warning for the fact that the vast majority of entrepreneurs want to spend 80% of their time on doing new stuff, when really they should spend 90% of their time doing more and better of what is already working for them. The only time you do new stuff is when nothing is working. So when you're starting as an entrepreneur, everything's new, and you keep trying until something works. Once it works, you have to unlearn the whole experimentation idea, and then you have to go, great, I need to do as much as I possibly can and do it as well as I possibly can. And so it's a different mindset that you have to get into, but that's how you start scaling. Now, what point do you start doing something new? Well, if you've already said, okay, I can't do more for a very clear reason that there's a big cost. Like sometimes there's a huge incremental cost past a certain barrier. And you're like, okay, I think we really are, let's say you're a local gym, all right? If you're a local gym and you're spending, call it $10,000 a month on ads, you're reaching every single person in your radius multiple times a week. And so that's on one platform. And so you're like, okay, in order for me to scale this, it's not really about doing more or even doing that better. It's like I've saturated the crap out of the eyeballs here. Well, that's when doing something new will yield a higher return. You'll get a better return on effort. And so that's where like, okay, maybe I'm gonna start doing an outbound, or I'll start doing the paid ads, but just on another channel. I'll start running YouTube ads. I'll start running Google search ads. I'll start running display ads. I'll start doing direct mail pieces. I'll start radio ads. Like there's a number of things that you could do in terms of other channels, but they would be new. And so this is the thought process that I have when I approach that, which is if you could double the sales of your company and it would take a year, would you do it? But you had to wait a year before they doubled. Most people would say yes. If I said you had to invest, call it half a year's profits in order to getting your business to double, would you do it? Yes, that'd probably be a really good return on investment. If you put half a year's profits and you double the business, you're getting a 200% return. That's awesome, right? And so the thing is that people start something new and they spend 1 month of ad spend and they say, oh, it didn't work, I lost money. Why? Like I'm gonna stop. But the reality is that it's gonna take you 3 months, 6 months, sometimes 12 months to get that return to actually pay off. And what I mark is progress, not the dollar. So it's like, okay, first, are we getting clicks? Okay, we're getting clicks. Okay, are we getting opt-ins? Okay, we're getting opt-ins. Are the opt-ins we're getting the right type of people that we're looking for? Okay, yes. Or if they're not, then we start tweaking the messaging, we start tweaking the funnel until we get the right people. Okay, now we have the right people who are opting in. Great, now can we get them on the phone? Can we get them in person? Can we get them to show up to some sort of conversion event, some sales event that we can then try and sell them something, right? And so you keep walking the dollar over the bridge until eventually it comes to the other side. But that takes money and that takes time and that takes learning, but it's a return on investment because if you do, and so you have a more stable business that's also bigger.